Okay, everyone, if you're just joining us again, this is your host, Avi Koshik. We have about 27 participants on the line. Let's bump that number up. Let's shoot for our target of 100 as we do on every call we have. Invite your teammates and let them know that today we got none other than Mr. Bill Predebon on the line. Now, if you're new to the call, you haven't heard Bill's story. Before getting involved in real estate, Bill back in the day was a pro skier in Vail, Colorado. And around that time, he felt like although he was really good at skiing, he was not qualified to do much else. And he ended up getting into the franchise industry around that time, but due to a lack of knowledge, this ended up costing him his entire business. And he tried another hand at entrepreneurship in 2007 when he had just heard about real estate investing, and he didn't have the proper education, tried it on his own, and ended up getting upside down during the crash of 2008. Finally, after many attempts, he found Renatus, just like many of us did. And in his first year alone, he made 8 times more than he had in his previous year. Ever since then, Bill has now done over 130 deals, grossed multiple 7 figures in real estate. He is a PIT team member. He is a marketing leader. He's someone that I really look up to. And we are just very fortunate to have Bill Predebon as our trainer here today. Without further ado, I'd like to bring Bill Predebon on the line so he can take it away. Good morning, Bill. How is your morning going today?
Good morning, Avi. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing fabulous. Thank you for asking.
Right on. The volume's okay.
Volume is great. We can hear you loud and clear.
Awesome, man. Thanks for that wonderful introduction, as always. It's an honor to be here. It's a pleasure to be introduced by you. I love hearing your voice every morning, 4 days a week. So you do a great job. Obviously, you do a lot for the community, and congratulations on your success as well, my friend. I know that you wouldn't be in this position if you weren't leading by example yourself. So thanks for all of that. I appreciate it, brother.
Of course. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, folks. We're a little light in the shorts. We got 38 people on the line. I'm going to go to video. I hope that helps. Uh-oh. Boom. We're going to get rid of, oops. There we are. Let's see. I'm just changing over to video, you guys. There we go. So, cool. Yeah, if you've got any team members or friends that you love in Renatus, maybe it's somebody you don't like and you just want to do them a favor, get them on the line. We are only at 40, so I don't know why, but a little short today. Maybe some people are already traveling, whatever. All right, today's going to be a great day. I hope you guys have a great day. Got a few things to talk about, but I will remind you, let's see. I always put up the chat button. Where'd it go? That's weird. Come on, chat. There it is. All right, cool. So my number, 760-533-3141. That is my personal cell phone. It's good to see your faces on this line. I like to see everybody. Welcome to the call. This is going to be cool. All right. So that's my cell. You guys have it if you want to reach out to me for whatever reason. If you want to talk real estate. And if I'll tell you, I try to, obviously there's not everything I can do for some people. So a lot of people have reached out. I don't have all the answers. I don't have, I can't always make a deal happen. I can definitely give you my experience and my advice, and I can definitely share with you what I might do. But at least I can possibly point you in the right direction. So I'm talking about real estate sometimes, but obviously the marketing, I've got a little bit of experience to share with you there. So if you're stuck on something, if you need my help, let me know. I'm here for you. That's why I put that phone number up there. If you've reached out and I haven't gotten back to you for some reason, then your text might have got buried. It happens. I probably get, I don't know, you guys, it's ridiculous. Sometimes it's, 100 texts, 100 different people in one day. So it just gets buried. I try to leave it blank. Or I try not to touch the text so I know that it's still fresh, but just retext me or recall me. You can even do it twice in one day so that I know that it's important to get back to you. So anyway, that's that. My name is Bill. Welcome to the call. For those of you who are new, welcome. Glad you're here. feel free to chat it up in the chat box if you guys have any questions, or any topic that you really honestly, if you just typed in a topic and said talk about this, I would talk about it, and we could discuss it. So if that's there, I don't ever have a problem. I mean, I usually spend 30 minutes, give or take, preparing for this training call every week, and have topics lined out and stuff. But more importantly would be what you guys want. So if you've got something come off of mute, I don't care. Unmute yourself and shout out, or just type it in the chat if you're on the webinar. So with that, Michael really does a great job, right, of mindset. And so I'm guessing most of you, if not all of you, were on his call yesterday. I think we were at about 80 people yesterday for him. And he really does a great job of setting the stage. He does an amazing job of just really challenging your thoughts, challenging your belief, challenging, what you're doing, how you're handling your business, how you're handling yourself, how you prepare yourself each day. He talked about routines and what's successful people. And here's why. He's done a lot of, when I say Michael too, I don't just mean Michael, but I'm talking about most of the leaders, if not all the leaders, and right all the way up through Bob. Honestly, they spend a lot of money and a lot of time, mainly time and energy, training themselves to be better people. And not like better, oh, I'm a better person, but just growing, right? Just, enriching their lives, forcing themselves to, get outside of what's normal to them, and to learn, is it normal for a private money lender to charge upfront loan origination fee, and be paid in Bitcoin? So that's a great question. And I'll tell you what, the reason I'm going to answer this question, and I love real estate, is because if you guys could remember when you're marketing and you take this information and you can market this as an opportunity for when people get enrolled, they have an opportunity to mastermind, not only with every single Tuesday night with Gavin and Caleb, but right here for business and real estate. And so my answer to that, Esterine, is no, it is not normal. Okay. So if you don't have a relationship with this person, I would never do anything outside of escrow. If anybody on Facebook, LinkedIn, or any type of social media that you don't know is soliciting your business to offer you interest rates that sound really good, hard money, private money, 100% financing, anything that is not out, that is just not a local hard money lender, I would absolutely stay away from it. I guarantee you that you are going to wire money into an escrow fund and you will never get a dime, and you will pay an upfront fee and you won't get it. It's not, business is not done that way. The only thing that's ever done that way, back in the day, was mortgages. Oh, I promised to get you a loan modification, pay me up front. Any of that stuff where they know that they don't have a chance to, there's a possibility they won't get the job done. And so they don't want to get not paid for their efforts. You'll take it from like timeshare companies who want to, get you out of your timeshare, but you got to pay up front. You can do it. It's worth it. And they tell you it's a money back guarantee, but good luck. No private money lender should be paid up front. They can be paid out of escrow. Escrow, you guys, as you know, is simply this. Escrow is a third-party, non-biased party that holds all of the pieces of the puzzle. And then when everything is said and done, they release all the pieces and they transfer them. So you give people a piece of property or a deed of trust. You give them security in your car, your diamonds, whatever it is you're using for security, and they're giving you cash. And if they're charging for their cash, in addition to an interest rate, and they're charging you a fee, they will absolutely get it from escrow. Escrow will pay them their fee. Why would they need the money up front? Because they got to, I got to pay my people. I got to process it out of Texas. I got to process it out of Florida. That's crap. They have a business. They don't need upfront funds from you to run their business. They can get a business line of credit if they're broke, or start another business. If they're in the money business, they don't need money up front to pay their people. The origination fees, the acquisition fees, any type of fees are legit and they're real and they're associated with any time you borrow money. But any type of private money lender, absolutely not. Do not pay them unless you're going through an escrow company that you're on the phone with, that you trust, that is a legitimate escrow company that you're both putting your faith into, and you're both paying them to monitor both sides of the transaction. I'll give you a story real quick. Just see, like this. I bought a house in 2009 for $5,000 in Maricopa County. It was actually $5,000. I got it from a lead that I did. I had one of my team members. She wanted to get into real estate, and if you ever want to do this, she was very ambitious, and so she decided to mail letters out to vacant houses. It was a little different market, so we did get response. We were getting 3 to 5% response back then, because everybody wanted to sell their house in 2009, and there was less people trying to buy them. I mean, it's just the nature of the beast. But I'll tell you, I got a response, and I went to the house and I checked it out, and then I called the guy back. And the house was pretty run down. It had a hole in the roof. People had been living there. There was more trash in that house than in a landfill, but it was still a house. It had all 4 walls and all the infrastructure and all that stuff. But so I bought this house, and the guy was in Tucson, and I wasn't going to drive down to Tucson to buy this house. And he was older, and he was not going to drive up here. So I did this out of escrow, you guys. I didn't check. I had my title company check for liens on the property, and I did not use an escrow company. Now imagine, here's what he said to me. He goes, I'm like, okay, I'm going to buy your house for $5,000, but what I need you to do is I need you to sign over the property to me. I need you to go to, I'm going to draw up a deed of trust. I'm going to email it to you. You're going to have to print it out. You're going to have to go to a bank. You're going to sign and notarize it. You're going to FedEx it back to me. When I get it, I'm going to record it. As soon as I record it, I'm going to send you $5,000. Now, there's no escrow company. So imagine if he sends me the title to his house and I never paid him, right? Well, then I get a free house, right? I screwed the guy, but I get a free house. Imagine if I wired him $5,000 and then he was supposed to, in the meantime, put the check in the mail, right? He's going to put the deed of trust in the mail, but he doesn't do it. I send him $5,000. He's got my money. I've got no house. So that's why there's an escrow company, because we would both send it into an escrow company, and the escrow company would say, okay, we got all the I's and T's are crossed, check everything out. And now they would disperse everything simultaneously to both of us, and we both get our stuff, right? It's kind of like a drug deal. The guys are trying to give the drugs, and the other guys are trying to get the money, and neither one wants to go first, and they want to make sure they're, all their gangs are hanging out with each other. That's on TV, of course, you guys. You get my point. So I called the guy and I told him what was going to go on. And I told him, I said, listen, I got to be honest with you. You're going to send me the title to your house, and I'm not going to wire you the money until I get it. I said, it's possible I wouldn't send you back to $5,000. I said, I'm not going to do that, but I'm just letting you know what you're getting yourself into in case you ever talk to anybody else. And he said, Bill, he said, I understand that. And I said, I appreciate you telling me. He said, if you knew what I did for a living in my previous life, you'll send me the $5,000. And I laughed, and I was a little intimidated, and I absolutely sent him the $5,000. So anyway, you guys get my point. So I don't recommend doing that for private money. So it's kind of cool. I like that question, because here's why. It kind of leads into this training. Like I was talking about what Michael's doing, setting your mindset up. And the biggest thing that we got to do is once we work on this mindset, right? Once we're, I'll tell you, my wife and I, for my first 5 years, you guys, 2008, you know my story, most of you, was not a pretty picture, right? 2007, 2008, I started making some money. My wife had taken a job in the school. She was an entrepreneur. She sold her business and made a decent profit on her business before we got married. And I, of course, some of the mistakes that I made with us, for us, she spent a lot of that money carrying us while I was making no money, right? And so she, in order to be secure during the crash, she went and took a job in the schools as a speech path. So she had to get up 9 to 5. It was actually 7 to 5, drive through traffic and go to this job. And it was tough, in 2008, 9, 10, 11, I was making good money. I was definitely making pretty good money, like over double six figures, right? And in real estate, I was doing, in 2009, I did 19 real estate deals. A little bit of marketing, right? I wasn't into the marketing, unfortunately, like I should have been, like we're going to talk about here today. But there was a time where I was always on my phone, like, and I still am. But my attitude and my lack of business knowledge, not being business like finance, but business like mindset, was terrible. Our relationship struggled all the time. And so we were introduced to a guy out here who is very similar to a Tony Robbins. But he was in town, he was local, and he had some long-term stuff. And when money was super tight, even when we were making money, we were so far behind, right? I remember it took me 5 years before I bought my first rental to even keep it, because everything I could do to flip houses and make money. And remember, in between, I lost money. I'm going to get to that. So with all that going on, we paid, over the course of like 3 years, we paid $10,000 each for personal training, just on this one guy, right? When money was very tight, I mean, I remember going there and we paid like $1,600 a piece for this 1 3-day event, something like that. And then there you were also offered an opportunity, just like anywhere, to be long-term, to get to another event. There was one event I paid for that was like $5,000 alone just for this one event. That I did this development, personal development. But I'm telling you, it's amazing what happens when you invest, when you have no money, and when you invest in yourself. And you can take that to your clients, you know, your prospects, the people you're talking to. You know, there's nothing more important than, and these are the people, in my opinion, that are really going to take advantage of the opportunity with Renatus, is when they have an opportunity to, when they seize an opportunity with, like Renatus, when money is super tight. And unfortunately, you know, that's the majority of the people that are going to come across your desk. So anyway, Michael was talking about mindset and personal development and doing the things that he's doing. He spent a lot of time learning and studying Jim Rohn and studying John C. Maxwell and things like that, so he could better himself. And he passes it along very well. He's retained it. He studied it more than once, you can tell. And he shares that information, that knowledge with us. So as you guys are personal development, the number one thing is we've got to put that personal development to work. You've got to make sales, right? You've got to get 5-star qualified. You've got to make your first sale after 5-star. You've got to build a team, right? And so that's what we're making money. So one of the things I want to think about is today is and I was thinking about this morning when I was walking my dogs, is, you know, why do we do real estate, right? Why do we focus on wholesaling right now, or fix and flip? We focus on trying to get into a deal, right? We come to Renatus for real estate. The majority of us, very few of us were here because we wanted an at-home business. We might be there now, but we came to Renatus with the idea that we were going to learn something about real estate investing. And so why is it we do that, right? And you all know the answer to this. It's because it can make us money. There's a lot of ways to make money. The majority of the wealthy people in America made their money in real estate. We know the real estate market is hot. We have this, I mean, even if most of us have never even done real estate. I couldn't even spell real estate when I came to Renatus, right? But I understood people telling me that real estate was the way to go. I watched my surroundings. I listened to the media. I didn't know you could lose money in real estate. I just thought you could make money, right? I mean, I was pretty ignorant. And so we have this inherent belief. We have this full on in your heart belief that we can make money in real estate, that you can do real estate, right? And what's the other thing? Our whole lives, no money, no credit. Well, I don't have any money. I don't have any credit. I don't have any extra money. I wouldn't invest my own money, but I can learn how to invest other people's money. So I know that if I could just find a deal, I could do it. I could make money. and real estate. So we have this crazy belief in that. We truly believe it, right? We trust it. We trust it 100%. And so we seek it. We seek it personally. We seek it on YouTube. We seek it on the internet. We seek it through seminars and books and tapes and videos and then we find Renatus, right? And so all of that is true. But what we don't understand is we haven't learned yet how to become an investor. And I love when Dane Clark, if you listen to Dane Clark, and please, you should listen to Dane Clark because he is an up-and-coming superstar. He's killing it in the marketing. He's obviously a real estate investor with very good success in Utah as well. And he talks about his education, and he talks about how serious he took it. And he talks about listening to the classes and being able to talk the language. I mean, he shares these stories of his with passion and with excitement because he lived it, right? So one of the things that I'm getting at is that real estate, and you've heard me say this, it takes time. It is not something, in my opinion, that you can watch. And don't get me wrong. Everybody comes here with a different background. So some of you have some experience and you can dive right in, so be it. But there's a lot of elements to real estate. Like if you dive into fix and flip without ever studying the mortgage class, I think it's a mistake. If you don't know anything about title and escrow, I think it's a mistake to not take advantage of that class. If you don't understand the foreclosure process and you're door knocking, that's crazy, right? If you don't understand bankruptcy and be able to really talk about bankruptcy, I mean, I understood bankruptcy from going through bankruptcy, and I understood it. And I didn't know crap about bankruptcy when I went through bankruptcy. Had I known what the class teaches about bankruptcy, I would have not taken bankruptcy. I would have not gone into bankruptcy, right? So that was 06, right? So these are important things. So here's what I'm getting at. On the marketing side of things, why don't we do the marketing while we're learning, right? And I know that you guys are marketing, so don't get me wrong, but you don't do it with the same enthusiasm, the same passion, the same conviction, the same determination, the same belief. One of our core beliefs is that everybody needs Renatus, right? And so you hear people talk about going to nationals, going to leaders retreat, going to super Saturdays, all these things where it goes from your head to your heart. And that's true, but it doesn't take a national event to make that happen. It takes practice. And Michael talked about it yesterday. It takes habit. It takes systems. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes consistency. And what I mean by that is going to these events, right? Once you go to these events, I got to get into some actual training here. So you can implement some of this stuff, but you get my point. My point is that I don't understand why we have this opportunity to make a $10,000 paycheck. And actually I do understand it, but what I'm reminding you of is we have an opportunity to make a $10,000 paycheck, change our lives in someone else's life with no risk. There's zero risk. In fact, the benefits are so great because if you can, most of us don't come into this with several $100,000 of debt or, $10,000, $12,000 a month in bills. So hopefully that's not you. Okay. Because that's the way I came into Renatus, and it just was a mistake. So hopefully $10,000 to you, can take you a little bit, pretty far. And then even $10,000 or $20,000 in a month could take you even farther, to the point where you might be able to implement some of your creative acquisitions, some of your owner financing strategies, and you can end up in buying whole property, which is very little risk if you buy it correctly. You can have equity, increase your net worth. You can leverage it in a little while later when you learn your credit, fix your credit, and get a home equity line of credit on the house that you bought with someone else's financing, right? So no bank qualifying and all that stuff, but you just need cash down, and the Renatus can provide the cash. So it's, in my opinion, that belief, if you could work on something this week and over the course of August before regional season is your core belief in Renatus. If you can match your belief with Renatus as you can with your real estate beliefs, that you can make money in real estate, that you could buy a rental for the right price, you could put a certain amount of money down, and you could rent it out and it would pay for the mortgage and it would even cash flow and put money in your pocket. If you truly believe that that is true, which I know there isn't a single person on the phone that doesn't, then why not have that same belief that you can go out and make $10,000 and people will enroll in Renatus, right? And that Renatus is the way, the making money while you're learning real estate is the way to go, right? And so develop that belief. Now, here's the thing. When I got started again with Renatus in 2016, one of the things that obviously I'm on social media, and I was on social media before, and I never ever gave up my IMA status, right? I was always $125 a year, and I kept my 5-star from 2008. And so, but I wasn't an active IMA. There's thousands of them, I imagine, across the country that have their IMA status. They pay the $397, the $197, and they don't market. They don't go to the events. I have a dozen people roughly on my team that are strictly retail customers. They bought the education to be retail. They're not interested in the marketing, and they're out making money doing real estate. So, but I kept that up because I was 5-star and I didn't want to lose that advantage. I didn't want to have to go through qualification again. I never knew where my life was going to take me. In 2016, over the last couple of years, I was watching a lot of people in Renatus and what they were doing and how Renatus was going. And I've known Bob for a long time, and it's always been something that I cared about. I really love the community. And so after going through my own personal coaching that I was doing in real estate, I learned a lot. Again, I'm not going to get into my whole story why I even left, but the point was my belief was there. I'd always known about the marketing. I just missed it, right? It didn't really happen during the crash. That's part of the reason why the company, well, not really, but whatever. But, it was a lot more difficult to get funded back in the day, and there weren't that many people interested in real estate when the crash was going on and things like that. So making money in the marketing wasn't as easy as real estate, in my opinion. And there were not many people, anybody making money in marketing. And so, but as the economy started to change, so did the marketing efforts, right? Bob was improving the company, the leaders were improving the company, and I was watching the leaders. I was friends with the leaders, and my belief went up. And it was then that I was convicted my conviction to do Renatus went 100%. So when I came into 2016, there was no doubt in my mind, you guys, and this is what I'm getting at, is that I was going to 100% commit to the marketing. Like, it was going to take up my time. I was not going to miss many meetings, if any, only for certain out-of-town reasons or whatever, or personal reasons. But the minute I had the opportunity to be on leadership, I would take it, which is volunteer, which takes more time. The minute I got an opportunity to be in front of the room, I was going to take it. The minute I got an opportunity to do anything and build a team, I was going to take it. And I knew that I had to put in my efforts first directly. And so remember, folks, if you have a hard time with leads right now, right, and you commit to this business, then find a place to get leads. We have a group here. We have a couple here in Phoenix that is doing great things with Meetup, and they're doing it ethically and they're doing it properly. Michael trained on that last week, I think. So watch that recorded video on YouTube about the Meetup, right? Doing it properly. But if not, signs, if you do a compliant signs still work, right? There are ways around Craigslist besides putting it into the job section that work. You can go to networking events. Your lead generation is so key. It's so important. But when I started, my first thing was two things. 100%, I was going to go and do my list, you guys. You've heard my story. I made my list. I did it on my own. It didn't work. If you're doing things on your own, I got people on my team that are doing it on their own, right? That's fine. We all go through that curve. It's your decision. What is the name of the video on YouTube? Eric, that video is what I mean, is that it is, these calls are recorded, these trainings, and Michael's last Mondays, I think, it was either last Monday or the Monday before, was a training, and he talked about, he focused on Meetup a little bit, and we record these and we put this on the Scottsdale, or not Scottsdale, we put this on the Elevate Renatus YouTube channel. So yeah, that's what it is. So it's Elevate Renatus, and then you'll find the date of a Monday last week, I think, or the week before, that Michael Huggins did the training. So that's what I meant. Good question. So number one, if you have a list, if you don't have a list, I can't stress to you enough, you're not taking this business serious. I have a list every day. Like every month, I look at my warm market list. If you look up here on my board, you can't see it, but I have a full direct to me list, right? Carissa is one of my tenants in one of my houses. Daniel Hernandez is a student, a guy I've known for 2 years. Pavel is one of my contractors. Robert and Eddie, I met them in a real estate investor forum like 5 years ago. Oscar, I met him 9 years ago at our old company. Oscar is enrolling this week. Well, they've already enrolled for the full combo, and they're funding this week. And I'm going to get to that in a minute on the follow-up, you guys, because I want to talk a little bit about what. Okay, I got that. So anyway, my point is, I redo my list all the time, and my list is people out of my Renatus, out of my phone. Cool, Jenna, privately. Okay, I'll get to that. I do have his number in my phone. If you're doing your list and you're doing it on your own, you know, I used to call you guys, and hopefully this is going to help you guys in being actually implementing stuff today and this week. I used to call my list by myself, and there are certain people that you can invite on your own. But I'm even talking about invites. Like, one of the things that we do is new people or people that have been around a little bit, but we haven't made any money, or we haven't gotten 5-star or whatever, we haven't made a sale, is we're nervous, our belief is down, our conviction is down, our confidence is down, and we're also a little bit desperate, right, as well. Like we really want this to happen. And then we feel bad about, you know, all these things that we talk about, like, hey, I haven't done a deal. And when they ask me a legitimate question, right? You talk to your friend or your family and they're like, hey, what have you done? Call me when you make money. That's not like it's stupid. It's real, right? There is a way to overcome that objection. And we discuss that. Michael does it all the time. Christian talks about it all the time, overcoming that objection. But it's legitimate. So the thing is when you get your third party on the line, when you call me or you call one of your leaders or your 5-star and you have them and talk to your friend or your family member, there's no pressure for us. We don't give a crap. Like, that's not true. You understand what I'm saying? We totally care. We wouldn't do it. But on point, we have no emotional attachment. It's like buying a house. We could care less. We don't get the house. We don't care, right? We're going to sell you and your client on what we believe, how we are, who we are, and all that stuff. We're going to talk some fact and then tell some stories and do an invitation, right? And there's no pressure. And so when you do it on your own, you don't have that same. You have an emotional attachment. You have an obligation. You feel dedicated. You feel responsible that if you invite them to spend $20,000 and they don't do anything, then it's on you, right? Watch Bob's training on that. Bob does a generally speaking on, you know, you feeling responsible for someone else doing well in the business. Not true, right? I'm not going to get into that right now. But, you know, I mean, if they do a deal and make 20 grand, it's not because you freaking invited them and you had anything to do with it. That's all on them. They studied the education, followed the system, implemented it, and boom, there you go. If they don't do it, it has nothing to do with you. You guys get that? So this list is important. You have to have the reason you want to have cold leads, you guys, is because cold leads, you don't have an emotional attachment to. You could screw up with your cold leads. You know, one of the girls talked about yesterday. She asked Michael a question about someone who said they were interested, and then they didn't show up, and they had this reason and that reason not to come. And I promise you guys, we have the same thing all the time. There isn't a leader that doesn't go through that. There isn't a successful person, and that's not even right. You're all successful. What I mean is there isn't someone making money necessarily, or who's been around the block for a couple of years like me or whatever, that doesn't still have the same thing happen, right? So one of the things that before I forget, that I want to remind you of is, in my opinion, please, when you have conversations with people, the first time, the second time, follow-ups, whatever it is, when you're re-inviting them to a meeting, when they've gone to a meeting and they haven't enrolled, they haven't signed up, but they're like, yeah, I want to come. I'm whatever they're doing in their life, right? If we are not creating intrigue all the time, if we're not asking them questions about why they want to do this and why they want to be here and what they're looking for, then telling them, you know, hey, I got this meeting, and just letting them know when the events are, or reminding them how great it's going to be, or who this person is, or, you know, Bill Predebon's coming into town and you want to talk, you can't miss this guy. Those are all great things, but that's your idea. These are all your ideas based on what you feel they asked you to tell them. Does that make sense? But every single time you contact somebody, qualify for the time, and then remind them by asking questions. Hey, what are you doing? Let me ask you, what have you been up to? How's things going? What's going on? Do you still want to invest in real estate? Are you still interested in the velocity banking? Have you implemented the velocity banking? You know, have you been thinking about your credit cards or your credit debt? Whatever it is that you were talking to them before that they said they liked about it, you got to go back to it. Whatever brought them there in the first place. Hey, are you still interested in buying a rental property? Whatever they told you in the beginning, there's a reason they went to Renatus. Hey, do you still hate your job? Did you keep your job? Do you still want to take care of your family? Whatever, you got to go back to that, right? And then you can remind them once they bring out the pain again and what it is they dislike, what they're uncomfortable in, then you can offer them the next event. If you're just reminding people, I'll tell you what, if you're just reminding people of the next event, you know, if they're on a drip list or whatever, that's fine, but you're being lazy, especially if it's in the first few weeks where, you know, the first month, and they've come to one or two events and now they're blowing you off and all you're doing is putting them on a drip list. You're being lazy. This is a people business. You've got to call these people, right? This weekend, I am fully texting Oscar. They've had their order in for a couple weeks, and the first idea of funding failed. They didn't get their HELOC on their property based on an appraisal. Okay, they've got some good equity in there, and the appraisal didn't come up quite. And based on where they are, based on the amount of money they wanted, it didn't work out. So they just were going to give up basically and start as an IMA. Right? They're an IMA. So what is a drip list, Chuck? A drip list. These are great questions, you guys, when I talk about this. A drip list, it means that I come to an event. You get me from Craigslist or whatever. I don't care if I'm Warm Market, whatever it is. And I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm interested, you know, and I keep telling you that I'm interested. And I keep telling you, you know, let me know when the next event is. And then you invite me for next week. You're like, oh, the property tour is this Saturday. It's going to be great. And I don't show up. And then you follow up with me with a text. You're like, hey, man, I missed you on Saturday, but I got next week, I got another tour on Tuesday night. And then I just stop returning your calls or whatever it is. And I'm just out there. I haven't told you no, and I didn't say I hated it, and I haven't been rude to you, but I'm just not talking to you. So you put me on a drip list, which means that you keep me in a text message or you keep me on an email drip list, and you remind me once every 2 or 3 weeks that there's an event coming up. That's a drip list. It's simply it's like an email campaign from you, a text campaign from some store that you signed up for. You're like, oh, you want to, you know, receive text for us on donations? I had this vegan restaurant that sends me every single weekend, twice on a weekend, every single special they have. It's a drip list. They're not calling me up and say, Bill, you got to come down and taste our pancakes. They're freaking amazing. And you get it free if you buy an entree. No, but they text me something, 5% off, 10% off. I'm on a drip list. And every once in a while, as soon as I get it, I delete the text. Every once in a while, like 2 weeks ago, I'm like, hey, let's go down to Pomegranate. And because of the text, I went down to Pomegranate and I bought something. It's a drip list. It works, but it takes time and you put people on a long thing. Joanne says, leaders have a different challenge as people think they can't do what that person has done is doing. Doubt, fear creates. Okay, great. Thank you, Joanne. Everybody else can read that. That's perfect. So anyway, that's a drip list. But with your list, you guys, when you're implementing leads, cold leads are super important because you can fail at them and you learn. You hear Bob Tierney talking about 1,100 leads before he got his first sale. That's awesome because now Bob Tierney kills it. You hear about everybody that goes through leads. You guys, I mean, hundreds and hundreds of Craigslist leads we've gone through. So it really builds character. It teaches you how to go from, I'm telling you folks, my wife used to joke about it all the time. I used to talk until the cows came home. I used to do an entire epic presentation sometimes in a follow-up over the phone. I mean, can't believe these people stayed on the phone that long, but I'll tell you what, I never heard from them again, right? You'll learn to ask questions, not tell facts, and to find pain points with cold market leads. You'll learn to weed through people that are just kicking tires, right? You'll learn that from cold leads because you'll get a lot of them. But you've got to have a fishing pole that's bringing in cold leads, right? Like all the crappy bait on the casting line or the whatever they call that darn line, the one that's waiting out there. I can't even think of it. But it'll prepare you for the leads that want it. Now, I'll tell you this, with your warm market and with your list, even when you're doing inviting, have a friend, a colleague. It doesn't have to be your 5-star. See if you guys could do it together. Like literally, I mean, these are great ideas, but we don't implement them. I don't know why. But maybe it's one call each per week. And you call one person's person. And you get on a 3-way call and you're like, hey, man, Jim, hey, it's Bill. Hey, I told you that I was going to give you a call. I got Bobby on the line. You know what I mean? And remember that thing we were talking about with real estate? Yeah, listen, you got 2 minutes? Perfect. Bobby, this is Jim Bobby. And Bobby gets on, he goes, hey, Jim, what's going on? What do you do for a living? Oh, yeah, I'm this. Oh, yeah, Jim's told me a lot about you. Or Bill's told me a lot about you, right? And Bobby's just going to simply ask him to the meeting. What are you looking for? Why real estate? Why? Well, Bobby or Bill just told me, I should do real estate. So I told him I've heard of that. I've thought about it. Oh, so you're not really interested in real estate or you're just doing it because Bill asked you? He's going to ask questions, right? He's going to get to the, but no, to be honest, my wife and I have been talking about doing real estate in Arizona here. It's crazy. And I've just, I haven't had the time to go do it, but I think I'm going to buy a house pretty soon and, maybe fix it up like my neighbors are doing. All right, cool. So Bill told you a little bit about what we got going on. And so what I wanted to do is invite you down to what we've got going on, right? And then he's going to go into his spiel. So it's third party. It's real simple to just even invite, one of your friends, and then you can do it for each other, whatever it is. Obviously, if you don't know how to do this, you talk to your 5-star because they've done it before, and then, or do a little role playing before you get on the phone. Have a script, right? But you don't have to do inviting. You especially don't have to do follow-up. So if you go back to Oscar enrolled, he and Anna enrolled. God, it's been a month, you guys. They've been enrolled. And what I mean by that is their order was placed, right? You hear Dane Clark train on this all the time. They went to an intensive, a Thursday night, and then a follow-up. And at the follow-up, they enrolled. They placed their order. We got their system going. And then we started looking for the money. Then we went through 2 weeks of financing and it didn't happen. Now we've gone through 2 weeks. So we've finally come up with another way to fund it. In the meantime, they've been to a couple different Thursday nights. They've been to IMA training, and they have been to another intensive, and I've done a couple follows. This is a personal phone call. I'm calling Oscar up and get him on the phone. So this weekend, for example, I texted him on Sunday. He texted me back Sunday night. Then I called him yesterday morning. I said, are you coming to my house? Let's be at my house at 2:30. Let's get this order funded and stuff like that. Let's finalize this funding. And so he came over, right? It was on purpose. It's a constant follow-up and moving people to the conversation. here's what I'm getting at. Folks, the story I told a couple weeks ago with Joanne and Dave Smith out of California, Angie is awesome. And Angie was a 3-foot rule at a networking event that Dave goes to. Angie was probably one of the harder follow-ups I've ever had to do with the amount of questions that she had and the amount of due diligence she wanted to do. But she enrolled in a full combo, cash combo, without seeing a live event. Okay? So she did I'm sorry, no, that's not true. She went to an intensive. I apologize. Her first exposure was an intensive where there was very little offering of anything about the education. It was just a little quick blurb. It was mainly all content. So immediately we did a follow-up on the phone. And then it was a short follow-up because she didn't know anything about Renatus. So I had to expose her to Renatus first. And it was then a video. It was the epicplanwebinar.com. We sent her that. But we sent her that with the pretense that she was going to be watching it at a certain day and a certain time. And then we would follow up a certain day at a certain time. You've heard Michael, bam, bam, book a meeting from a meeting. That short follow-up after the intensive, and I'll tell you, Joanne booked the meeting from the intensive, which was the phone call with me. Joanne was brand new. She did not do this on her own. She called me. She's not even on my team, you guys. I'd never even met her. This is someone that came off of this phone call. Like, this is the power of Renatus. And so they're awesome people, by the way, if you get to meet Joanne and Dave. And everybody on this call is awesome. You guys, being proud of yourselves is something you should do every day. But I'll tell you, she books a meeting from a meeting, brand new to Renatus, books a meeting from a meeting, gets on the third cut, short follow-up, book a meeting from a meeting, send the video. Once we send the video, before we sent the video, we booked a meeting from a meeting. We knew we would have to follow up, so we set the time. We followed up. 100 questions. Took an hour to follow up on the phone. Booked another meeting from a meeting, which was the follow-up video and the Renatus website. Go to myrenatus.com, do your due diligence, watch the follow-up video, which is followupwebinar.com, and then it was the close, right? We asked for the order. We asked the scale of 1 to 10, where you stand before the follow-up video. And she was like an 8, 9. She had a few more questions. She wanted to see the follow-up video. She wanted to go to the website, but she was this close. And I asked her if she had what it was. And she said, I need to know about funding. I need to know about this. I'm like, cool. We're going to answer that from the follow-up video. And then I'm going to follow up from the follow-up video. And so I was asking for the sale in between, like Michael says, on every single, not just Michael, but every leader, but I just use that, right? That's why these calls are so important. If you're not getting on these training calls and your friends, tell every one of your friends they should be on these training calls. I don't get it. I don't know why. I'm on these darn calls. I want to be like Michael, and I want to be like Ben and Heather Echeverria. They made $100 million in the marketing and $1 million in the real estate in 1 year. So, we ask for the sale, see where they're at, and then we move them to the next meeting, book a meeting from a meeting, set the time to follow up. We followed up with her, and I'm getting to a point here. And on the follow-up, after the follow-up call, she enrolled. Joanne and actually Dave did it on their own afterwards because they had we discussed how we found the funding on the follow-up, asked for the order, placed the order, put the order in over the phone. All of this was done over the phone. 3 different locations, me on the phone, them in California, her in California in another part of town. And then they funded the next day that night or the next day with the credit cards because she actually called her credit card companies up and told them that she was going to go somewhere else if they didn't reduce her interest rate before she made the 20 grand purchase. And they did it. And then she'd already knew to increase their credit lines because the markets are good. So my point to this is that there's nothing better than finding the people like you that want to do this. And they move through the motions. It's a 3 to 7 touches. And nowadays it's 3 to 5 touches, right? These markets are primed. When I say these markets, I mean the real estate market, the stock market, the banking market, the economy, inflation is down, wages are up, unemployment is down. All of these things are key markets, key things that in the market that enable people to be able to fund and people to want to spend and people to want to be involved in new things, especially real estate. So they're willing and able to get started. You've got to put the right people in front of the information. This is not hard when someone wants to do this and they want to change their life. You hear us talking about it all the time. It was not hard for me with Oscar and Anna, right? It's helping them make a decision. Once their decision is made, it's simply finding the money. And a lot of times that is a problem. I'm not gonna deny that. There's a lot of people that are not able to get started. When you come across people that are not able to get started, stop, right? Fight for them as much as you can, right? But honestly, if they can't make a $600 payment, the last thing you want to do them is put them in a $4,000 UGA down payment, right? I mean, you can't strap people just to get them in. You know, get them in on a cash $2,000 instead. But use your mind. I'm not going to tell you how to do your business, but they've got to go back to a drip list. You're going to stay with them. You're going to try to be creative. And I'll tell you what you do with those folks. This is what I do with them. I have Raphael, for example. Raphael couldn't fund this thing at 21 years old to save his life. Now he's one of my 5-star rock stars, right? Here's the thing. He came around for month after month after month. I think it was 4 months. And Kevin Lawrence, one of our leaders, used to joke with him and be like, hey, dude, when are you going to fund? You know what I mean? But the point was, I kept him coming around the business. 2 things happen when that happens. Number 1 is their belief goes up. Okay, the more and more they believe and the more and more they see value, the more and more they're going to want to go find the money and find the funding on their own. It's going to be worth it for them. They're going to figure out how to buy the car. Number 2 is they might learn of a different way. They might meet people that can help them. They might learn something they didn't even know was even possible on how to fund or how to find an angel investor. So these 2 things are going in your favor when you've got people that would die to do this immediately, but don't have a dollar or a single way to fund it. Just invite them, but you're not spending much time with them. I'm not going on one-on-one follow-ups for an hour and trying to figure it out on my own. That's not the case. You can't spend all your time with someone who's not able. They have to be ready, willing, and able. They got to be raw. They got to be all 3 if you're going to spend all your time with them. If they're not able, you figured that out in your follow-up and your funding follow-up, and that's it. You're done. You're going to stick with them. You're going to keep, but they have to figure it out on their own. You can't figure it out for them. All right? When they're ready and they're willing, and 1 or 2 of the ways doesn't work, you can find other ways, right? We didn't go through all the ways with Oscar and Anna, but now we did. We figured out a second way, and now we're funding it this week while I'm in Panama. I'm gonna fund the order, right? I'm taking off today in I don't know 2 hours, 3 I guess more like 4 hours, and I'm on my way, right? But I got a follow-up call with them this morning, and we'll either fund it between now and Friday while I'm in Panama. So the point is, it's when you get people, and you will find folks like yourself. You will find people that are ready, willing, and able. They're raw, but you've got to do the work, right? And don't do the work on your own. Get your list out there, and then even if it's someone you've talked to before, re-talk to them with somebody else. Have somebody else. It's so easy for me to talk to Joanne's person because I have no emotional attachment to Joanne. I'm not going to fumble. Even if I fumble, she doesn't know I'm fumbling. Angie doesn't know anything other than what I'm telling her. And I have the ability, and I don't just mean me, I mean anybody, any 5-star that is not you, I'm not getting compensated for her joining or not. So there's no emotional attachment for me. Even if it was my own 5 stars person, if they don't enroll, I still have my own business, right? It's not my person. Even if they're going to roll up to me, obviously they're going to pay me $9,500. They're going to roll up to me. Yeah, absolutely, David. Yeah, we get that. David says, after Angie enrolled in Renata's, Joanne followed up and did onboarding. That's awesome. And Angie has my number. So absolutely, you're going to care about him. You're going to take care of him. Oh, tell him I'll be there in a minute. It's not 8 o'clock. Please.
Yeah, I'm not going to be like that.
I know. And so, sorry about that. So, anyway, when you will find the people that are raw, and when you do, it's a blessing. They will come through the system. They will do their due diligence. They will be able to fund, and it's a pleasant. It's amazing. It's even greater sensation changing someone's life, changing your own life, making the $10,000 check than it is to close on a real estate deal. I mean, I can't tell you enough how much that is. So with that, I got 7:59. I got 49 people on the line. Thanks for being here. Any questions, thoughts, comments, you guys, before we take off? Before anybody want anything that you've thought of that you want to come off mute or chat up on the chat? I'm going to put my number in here one more time: 760-533-3141. Thanks, Joanne. My number one thing is, in my opinion, is like if you say, "Hey, Bill, how did you do this?" Right? The number one thing I think is I had awesome. I'll see you in Panama, Enrico. That's awesome. You know, I absolutely had cold market leads. I do to this day. And then I also absolutely have warm market leads, which is my 3-foot rule warm market and my regular warm market. Not friends and family, but my people that I'm with all the time. And I have those two things. And my goal was to build a team. And my team, I'll tell you this. Thanks, Mark. I appreciate that very much. My team, I texted every single person on my team this Sunday, letting them know I was going out of town, when I'm going to be out of town for, what they needed help with, and everything like that. And I didn't text both people. Like a lot of team members are 2 people, so I texted one of them for the both of them. Sometimes I actually put them in a little 2-person group text. So there's like 45, 50 people on my team call and my team text, and I texted everybody, and personally one-on-one. And that's the way I think that the most important thing you can do for your people is personal touch. This is a people business. It's not going away that way, I don't think. And it's what makes people go get involved. And it's what makes people want to follow you and be with you is that personal touch. And so, you know, if you can, my thought would be to absolutely, where can I get the exposure videos? Oh, Paul. All right, you guys, if you're right, I don't know if you're taking notes still and everybody's leaving. So it's epicplanwebinar.com. You're going to have to go to, like, I would put it in the Elevate Salt Lake City Facebook group and ask for it, because this is going to go away in a minute. But epicplanwebinar.com, followupwebinar.com. Man, I think, don't quote me on it, I think 15minutewebinar.com. Hold on one second. Yeah, that's right. And there's also interestreduction.com. Cool. And I'm actually working on, maybe I'll have it finished by Panama. The end of Panama is I'm doing the compplanwebinar.com to finish. It's not Compplan, the earningswebinar.com. I'll finish that one, and that'll be able to be sent out as an earning plan compliant webinar. Anyway, it's after the hour, you guys. Thanks so much. My cell phone number, 760-533-3141. I'll be in Panama till next Thursday. So I will see you guys in a week. and a week and a half, I guess. Any thoughts, comments, questions, feel free to text me. If I don't get back to you, I will get back to you eventually. If you've reached out to me and I haven't reached out to you, then please just go ahead and reach out to me again. If it's urgent, call me and text me. All right.
Thanks, Bill, and hope your brother's doing all right.
He is actually. Thank you. He hasn't changed any of his habits, though. He's eating red meat and drinking like a fish and still.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But hopefully he's okay. All right. Oh, shoot. I put that privately. I don't know why that was private.
Have a safe trip to Panama and a safe trip return home.
Thank you very much. It's going to be awesome. So, all right, everybody. Thanks a lot. I hope that went through. Man, that did not go. It went privately. Hold on, you guys. Let me put this in there. Thank you. Copy. Hold on, everybody. Everybody. Publicly. I don't know why that. There we go. Okay, I just put those back up there. All the webinars. EpicPlanWebinar.com, followupwebinar.com, 15minutewebinar.com, and interestreduction.com. Perfect. You're welcome, Paul. Thanks. Yeah, I don't know why it went to someone privately that privately messaged me. So you guys are good. Thanks, everybody. Love you guys. I hope this was beneficial. Try to couple this with what Michael did yesterday and what the rest of the guys are going to train on this week. And have a great week. Hopefully I'll see everybody in Panama, as many of you that are going. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Kim. Thanks, Melissa. You guys are awesome. I love every one of you guys, and make it a great day, you guys. Go out and make it happen. I'll see you in Panama, and I'll see you at regionals, and I'm looking forward to it. And I'll go ahead and end the meeting, you guys. Take care.